Correct? Where are they coming? Hope so. So what did we discuss in our previous class?
10th chapter we need to start.
Of which book?
Bhagavad Gita.
Bhagavad Gita. As it is
chapter 9.
Yeah.
The 33, 34 verses. I mean, important number 32, 33, 34 verses. And the Gita one. I mean, the Founder-Acharya of chapter 10, absolute.
What was the Founder-Acharya? Anyone remember? Which place we were talking about?
Repeat again.
Kashipuri.
Kashipuri.
Yeah. And what was the Brahmana's name? Veera Buddhi. And who was the servant? Brindgirti. Then there was Kailash Parvat. So many personalities we saw. So what was the essence of all that?
Study 9th chapter.
We're almost there. Okay. Study of the 10th chapter of Bhagavad Gita will give darshan of Lord Vishnu. Let's begin chapter 10. The opulence of the Absolute. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, "Listen again, O mighty armed Arjuna. Because you are my dear friend, for your benefit, I shall speak to you further, giving knowledge that is better than what I have already explained." So the Lord is saying that whatever knowledge He is going to give now is better than what He has already explained in the previous chapters.
Does it mean that the confidential knowledge, this is more than the confidential knowledge what is being shared in chapter 9?
Better, yeah. Better than that. So anything that increases our faith is always better in that sense. So who wants to read the quote? Gauri Mata, you want to read?
The word Bhagwan is explained thus by Parshamuni, one who is full in 6 opulences, who has full strength, full fame, wealth, knowledge, beauty and renunciation is Bhagwan, or the Supreme Personality of Godhead. While Krishna was present on this earth, he displayed all 6 opulences. Therefore, great sages like Parasara Muni have all accepted Krishna as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Now Krishna is instructing Arjuna in more confidential knowledge of his opulences and his work. Previously, beginning with the 7th chapter, the Lord has already explained his different energies and how they are acting. Now in this chapter, he explains his specific opulences to Arjuna. In the previous chapter, he has clearly explained his different energies to establish devotion and firm conviction. Again, in this chapter, he tells Arjuna about his manifestations and various opulences. The more one hears about the Supreme Lord, the more one becomes fixed in devotional service. One should always hear about the Lord in the association of devotees. That will enhance one's devotional service. Discourses in the society of devotees can take place among those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. Others cannot take part in such discourses. The Lord clearly tells Arjuna that because Arjuna is very dear to him, for his benefit, such discourses are taking place.
What are the points here?
The 6 opulences was displayed by Krishna when he was present in this earth, in this planet.
So previously is explained about
Why don't you share them? Okay. Be comfortable. You can get a book also there.
previously explained about his energies, now he's explaining about his opulences. More conviction.
And it is also mentioned that Parasara Muni has accepted that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Right? So, is there any story or Purana which is talking about this?
I don't know. There must be something. I don't know.
It should be something.
Parasar Muni gives definition of God, and Prabhupada compares that how Krishna has all those attributes which Parasar Muni gives. So that's what he's saying there.
So Prabhupada also mentions a nice point about discourses can happen only in the society of devotees, amongst those who are really anxious to be in Krishna consciousness. And he also says that others cannot take part in such discourses. Pretty heavy. I mean, but how do we understand this story?
So Sukadeva Goswami tells at the beginning of second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, he says, Variya nesate prashna Krito loka hitam nripa Atmavit samvita pumsam Shrota vyadishu ya para. What is the translation?
Or said your question is very glorious because it relates to the Supreme Personality of God. And
For the welfare of...
yeah, it is very glorious because it completely satisfies itself.
What about the second half of the verse? What's the translation? Atmavit samvata pumsam Shrota vyadishu ya para. And then next, Shrota vyadini Rajendra Nrinam Shanti Sahasraha Apashyatam Atma Tattvam Griheshu Grihemidinam. So in essence, in these verses, he is just saying that Parikshit Maharaj knows that he has only 7 days to live. Also, Parikshit Maharaj is a pure devotee on top of that. So, naturally a devotee always wants to utilize time in hearing about the Lord. And it takes another devotee, and it takes many other devotees to make one devotee hear the Supreme Personality of God's glories. We might have seen this. Suppose there is a Bhaktivedanta program, only 2 people are attending. Sometimes the third person will not attend because only 2 people are attending. Therefore, nobody will attend. It's like that. So therefore, what happened? Okay, so it's like that. So therefore, it takes a community to make someone a devotee. So such discussions only happen amongst the community of devotees. It does not happen outside of this community. Today, one person had come to Milpark Bhaktivedanta program. He was coming for the Milpark program 2 years ago. Then, actually 1.5 years back he was coming. Then he moved to some other suburb, his residence. So he started going for another Bhaktivedanta program, which was good. Okay. And then that Bhaktivedanta stopped, and then he stopped going anywhere. Automatically what happened? From 16 rounds, came to 0. And then again he started coming Bhaktivedanta program. Again what happened? Then he started rising slowly, 4, 6, came back to 16. And today he came for the Bhaktivedanta program. There was one small function in today's Bhaktivedanta. So he had come specifically. So he told me that, I said, oh, very nice to see you here. And I told him, come regularly now. Because the other Bhaktivedanta is closed, you come here now. So he said that, yeah, I'll come. But I'm chanting 16 rounds, bro. Don't worry, he said. I said, no, you are not worried. But I am still worried until. Because I know, you might think that if you are not coming, you will still chant 16 rounds. But I am sure that if you are not coming, you will not chant 16 rounds. That's what I told. Because without association, you will not chant 16 rounds. That is a fact of the matter. So it is not possible to chant 16 rounds without the assembly of devotees. Because all of us need to be pushed all the time and reminded all the time. Otherwise we'll all go down. Maya, immediately come and chalo, idhar tha abhi, aaja, bahut ho gaya. If that shield is not there, immediately we will be sucked by Maya. So he says that, but for non-devotees, there are many other subject matters for hearing. Shrota vyadishu iha para. Many other subject matters they want to hear. Footy or cricket or something else, some mundane topics and other non-devotees want to hear. Anything else that is coming across here?
The more one hears about the Supreme Lord, the more one can become fixed in the devotional service.
So which verse? In the association of devotees, hearing the nectarian pastimes of the Lord. Pratham prasangat. I am repeating this verse so that it remains with all of you. Satam prasangat mama virya samvido. Bhavanti hrit karna rasayana kata. Tad joshanad asu apavargavatmani. Raddharati bhakti anukramishyati. So, Krishna conscious topics have to be listened in satam prasangat. Satsang. In a satsang we can. ऐसे प्रसंग में hear Krishna consciousness. We cannot say, okay, I will hear on MP3 player every day. No, alone. Group hearing is also required. In the association of devotees. That is very motivating. So we are going for yatra in another 2 weeks' time. So it will be a wonderful time. It's probably the best time of the year. Being in Vrindavan with spiritual masters, hearing from him every evening. There is nothing like this in the 3 worlds. Along with 5,000 devotees. Hearing. So that's really purifying, very rewarding. MP3 player is just not the same. It is there, it is useful. Nityam we can hear, but definitely at least once a year we have to do this. Satam Prasanga, in association of many devotees. And so many devotees will speak during this yatra. It's not only one person. For every spot that we go, one devotee will speak in that spot. You are coming or not? No. Why?
Exam.
Which life's exam? Okay. So, Lord Krishna in this verse is discussing his opulences with Arjuna. Essentially, he is discussing his opulences. That is a key point in this verse. He has described his energies, now he is describing his opulences in this verse. Why is Lord Krishna describing his opulences? So that Arjuna's devotion will increase. Just like in office, when you go with normal shirt and pant, people will say, oh, theek hai. But suddenly one day you go with suit and tie. Then what happens? People take you seriously a little bit more. Hey, Saab aa gaya hai. It's like that. So Saab means what? Like that. So therefore, one takes another person seriously based on the opulence which the other person demonstrates. In this material world, it is like that. Correct? So once when I was in Toronto, we had to go to Montreal to make a presentation to the CIO of one pharmaceutical company, a big giant company. So there was a team from my company which went. I went and one of our associate vice presidents was with us. And then what happened was, there was a very specific subject matter. And nobody in the company knew about that. And that we had to present there. None of us knew. So we hired one guy from US. This guy came. And when I saw him, I nearly fainted. He had that Tissot watch in his hand. He had that perfume, whatever, the latest in the market. That his hair was nicely gelled. He had gold rimmed specs, and it was probably in a Giorgio Armani or something like that. Original, not nakli. So something like and then he had. I can't describe him. His whole head to toe was brand. I was asking him, what is your name? I mean, what is your name? Okay. Huh? So then he told me, initially he started speaking, well, I'm from, I was in the US for so many years, this, that, he started speaking like that. Then finally I said, oh, which part of India? I came to that question. He said, I'm from Bombay. I said, maybe Bombay guy. And then he felt very relieved. He said, you Bombay? Okay, very well. Where? Jambu, Andheri. Okay, started. And then he came down. And he said, Karna padta hai. No, he said. He was a very normal guy, but then he had all these things, and he was, so with my bosses and all, he was dealing differently, like that. And then we became very quick friends. Like that. I just broke the ice with him. So he told me that if I don't dress up like this, then I don't get the rate what I want. If you go to an interview like a bhikari, then they will tell, okay, $300 per day. If you go with the Tissot watch and a gold chain and all that, say, well, I'm project manager, like that. Oh, okay, this guy looks to be expensive. Let's take him seriously. Let's at least give him a proper interview. So this world is like that. They will see your externals and then they will decide you. Even when you go for an interview, they will look at your shoes. Shoes immediately you will come to know. I told this also before. From a shoe you will come to know immediately how much the person is taking care of himself. Like that. The shoe is, everything will be pakka, but if the shoe is not polished, immediately they will know. He is a one day wonder. He is just Raju who has become gentleman. So therefore it is very important, in this world at least, to externally, I'm not saying we should all do that, I'm saying the world takes us seriously, unfortunately, when we exhibit our opulences. So Lord Krishna is exhibiting his opulences to Arjuna, so Arjuna, as well as all of us, will take him more seriously. We are not dealing with a mundane personality. Prabhupada writes, Daridra Narayan. Narayan is not Daridra. Prabhupada writes, Narayan is Krishna is a great personality. Great personality means he is the owner of the whole cosmos. Everything is emanating from him. All our branded products are all different conversions of his material energy, including the Rolls Royce and Maserati cars. Yesterday also, one day I was going to South Melbourne market or something. My wife told me, take me there, etc. So I was parking, and in front of me one guy came with a Maserati and parked. Immediately, my wife, she was talking to me, I forgot everything. I was looking who is coming out of the car. Then one man came and he saw I am seeing. When he saw I am seeing, he also tried to stay for some more time there. And he was also like very nonchalant, ठीक है types, But he was also enjoying that I am looking at him. So sometimes it happens, you want to see who is the big man coming out of the Maserati. Not many people own that car, isn't it? So opulence is attractive. Even when a devotee is trying very hard in this world, opulence immediately attracts somebody. Who's coming out from here? Or if you see a Rolls Royce and then one fellow with the gloves, he's opening the door. Then even if you are chanting 262 rounds, then you want to look who is coming out of this car. Let me just see. All material energy. But देखने में क्या जाता है? कौन बाहर आ रहा है? साहब कौन है? Let's see. And then one man comes out like that, and then you're like, अरे साहब आया. So therefore, we cannot underestimate the effect of the material energy on us, or the effect that is there in our perception when we see opulence. So Lord Krishna is demonstrating the opulence, his opulence he is demonstrating. So all of us take him seriously. We don't take him like an ordinary man. ठीक है, he was a charioteer of Arjuna. Oh, okay, fine. He becomes servant of servant. So he's now telling, boss, take me seriously now. I'll show you who I am now. So Lord Krishna is demonstrating his opulence. So Arjuna's devotion towards him will increase. Devotion has got two components. First component is awe and reverence, and the next component after that is love. First there has to be awe and reverence. Otherwise we can take him cheaply. We can take his pastimes cheaply. When Krishna is performing Rasa Leela with the gopis, we can take him as a mundane, like that Salman Khan is dancing with some heroines. We will think like that because our buddhi is like that. But actually, whereas the film stars are just ordinary personalities who are subject to birth, disease, old age and death, we are not talking about any ordinary personality here. We are talking about the controller of the entire universe. So when we see the control or the opulence of the controller of the universe, then we will at least be reminded that no, hang on. I should not bring his pastimes onto my mundane level. So sometimes it's good to be reminded of the greatness and opulence of Lord Krishna. However, when the awe and reverence is there, the same awe and reverence will come later on at later stages of bhakti in the way of our loving relationship with the Lord. So in the initial stages, awe and reverence has to be built, and the later stages, slowly love has to replace that awe and reverence. And if we have even a tinge of awe and reverence, we cannot enter Golok Vrindavan. Our destination will be Vaikuntha planets. Not that, Vaikuntha planet is some, it's a private engineering college or something like that. Don't please think like that. They are both great destinations. But however, it will be dasyaras, that's all. We cannot get into the total inner circle of the Lord. Like that. So initial stages, awe and reverence, but is very important, so that we don't take him lightly.
Prabhu, is that the reason why devotees are, especially young devotees, are encouraged to study well, so that when we are presenting the philosophy to the new people, when we see that devotees are very well educated and they are working at that actually gives a good impact.
Correct.
So that the perception of material energy cannot be underestimated.
Correct. Absolutely. That is why it's important also to have some level of opulence. Prabhupada says devotees should not remain in poverty. Recently also I read somewhere. We read in 7th canto, it is mentioned. Too much poverty is not good for devotional life, and too much of opulence is also not good for devotional life. There has to be a balance. So devotees, we have to dress up properly also. We should not go like Daridra Narayan on the road. Like nobody will take seriously. He didn't do anything, therefore he is doing bhakti. But sometimes when we also demonstrate our opulence, then we are taken seriously as preachers. And I have seen that. In the last 11 years of my experience in frontline preaching, I have seen that it matters. It matters quite a lot. How you are introduced makes the audience take you seriously. Not that we are President of India, but whatever we are, at least definitely there is something that, some achievements that we all have. By Krishna's mercy, He has given us some achievements in this world. For example, His Holiness Devamrit Swami, he is introduced as the Yale University connection is always given when we introduce Devamrit Swami. People may not understand what is Bhakti, but people know what it takes to get into Yale University. When Bhakti Tirtha Swami Maharaj was introduced, people used to say he is from Princeton University because they are all top 10. They are in the top 10 universities in the US. So people know that here we are dealing with the intelligent class of people, not people, what do you say? Kacha limbu. Uppu chappani we say. Tamil. I don't know what is the right word. Gujarati mein kya bolta? I don't know. Kacha limbu. Kacha limbu. Devotees are not kacha limbu. Like that. So therefore it is very important. Gaurang Prabhu one day was lecturing. He is saying that we are introducing one speaker. He says, so here is so and so person. He is a very nice person. He studied for many years in school. He tried his very best. He had multiple experiences in grade 10. And then finally he decided that everything is Maya. So he is trying now to come to Bhakti. He works very hard. We are very happy to present to you. So what will happen? Who will attend? But someone, if he says, here is a person from Yale University, he has given lectures in Harvard and MIT and Princeton, he has gone to HSBC Bank, whatever, blah 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 you give, then people just they sit up and then they listen, theek hai boss, serious personality is there. This is how the material world is. For Krishna Bhakti we don't need any of these things, but for preaching we somehow get credibility because of this, so then better to leverage that. It is important. Okay. So there is an example which Gurujan Prabhu gives, that of a billionaire friend. When we know the opulence of a billionaire friend, that it increases our reverence and appreciation of our friend even more. Many times, I have seen in Bollywood movies and Tamil movies also, the fellow doesn't know who this person is. My best friend, who he is, you don't know. Then later on, the suspense comes out that actually he is the son of a business magnate. And then everyone is laughing in the movie. Oh, that Shah Rukh Khan is the son of some big fellow in the movie, like that. So that's a suspense. So opulence attracts. So usually it is mentioned that we feel very fortunate when we have the opportunity to associate with someone who is very great person. Then we feel that we are fortunate. So it is very important to feel in Bhakti that we are fortunate. It's not an artificial imposition on the mind. Actually we are very fortunate. The Lord says, Manushyaranam sahasresu kaschit yati. So he says that out of millions and millions of people, Very few people get the opportunity to surrender, to work for Krishna. We work for a lot of useless people in life. But we are very fortunate. We are getting the opportunity to work for Lord Krishna, and it's a privilege to work for Srila Prabhupada. It's a privilege. So therefore, we always have to feel within us. We have to experience the good fortune and get reminded that we are actually very fortunate. There is nothing to cry. We are on our way back to Godhead. All of us are on our way back to Godhead. Some may take 1 or 2 lifetimes here and there, but we are all on our way back. So we have to be reminded of our fortune. So we feel fortunate to be associated with someone so great. So Lord Krishna is reminding Arjuna, I am your charioteer, but please, don't forget my opulence. He is reminding him. So when we feel fortunate like this, then our gratitude also increases for that person. Though that person is so high up there, he is coming to my level and then he is driving my chariot. Like that. Some ordinary charioteer, they will not say, oh, thank you very much. I am very fortunate that you have come. You will not tell. Oh, वैसे भी मैं taxi चलाता हूँ. So what is the great thing? And there is the driving chariot for salary. Krishna was not driving chariot for salary, for maintaining himself. It was not his job or profession. So therefore all these things are getting reminded. So this is the mood of the verse. Now, the question is asked, can we know his opulences? Can we know the opulences of Lord Krishna? Yes or no? That question is asked. How many say yes? How many say no? How many don't know? सुखदेव प्रभु, आपने तीनों के लिए हाथ ऊपर लिख रहे थे. If you don't raise your hand, then you should join Lok Sabha. Both sides. You never know which side to take. Okay. Can we know his opulences? Unlimited. So yes or no? No. Okay. So it is said that it is simultaneously knowable and unknowable. That's why I said Lok Sabha. Simultaneously knowable and unknowable. Achintya VedaBase. It is knowable as well as it is unknowable. It is unknowable when we attempt through our limited abilities. But it is knowable when he reveals it to us. When he chooses to reveal it to us, it is knowable. Because even though he is unfathomable, he can choose to reveal that unfathomable to us, and it will make it fathomable to us. So he is not limited. We may be limited, but he can make us understand his opulences. But his mercy is required for that. So that's a nice point that is coming through in this verse. And even a fraction of such a mercy is good enough to inspire us in our devotional service, and to make us serve him. So, hearing about his opulence encourages us to go out and serve him. So, in this verse, Lord Krishna glorifies the knowledge he is going to speak by saying that he is giving knowledge that is better than what he has already explained. Neither the hosts of demigods nor the great sages know my origin or opulences, for in every respect I am the source of the demigods and sages. Mataji, you can read.
As stated in the Brahma Samhita, Lord Krishna is the Supreme Lord. No one is greater than him. He is the cause of all causes. Here it is also stated by the Lord personally that he is the cause of all the demigods and sages. Even the demigods or great sages cannot understand Krishna. They can't understand neither his name or his personality. So what is the position of the so-called scholars of the tiny planet? No one can understand why the Supreme God comes to earth as an ordinary human being and executes such wonderful, uncommon activities. One should know then that that scholarship is not the qualification necessary to understand Krishna. Even the demigods and the greater sages have tried to understand Krishna by their mental speculation, and they have failed to do so. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, also it is clearly said that even the great demigods are not able to understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They can speculate to this limit of their imperfect senses and can reach the opposite conclusion of impersonalism, of something not manifested by the three qualities of material nature, or they can imagine something by mental speculation. But it is not possible to understand Krishna by such foolish speculation. Here the Lord indirectly says that if anyone wants to know the absolute truth, here I am present as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. I am the Supreme. One should know this, although one cannot understand the inconceivable Lord who is personally present. He nonetheless exists. We can actually understand Krishna, who is eternal, full of bliss and knowledge, simply by studying his words in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. The conception of God as some ruling power or as the impersonal Brahman can be reached by persons who are in the inferior energy of the Lord. But the personality of Godhead cannot be conceived unless one is the transcendental position, because most men cannot understand Krishna in his actual situation. Out of his causeless mercy, he descended to show favor to such speculators. Yet despite the Supreme Lord's uncommon activities, these speculators, due to contamination in the material energy, still think that the impersonal Brahman is the Supreme. Only the devotees who are fully surrendered unto the Supreme Lord can understand, by the grace of Supreme Personality, that he is Krishna. The devotees of the Lord don't bother about the impersonal Brahman conception of God. Their faith and devotion bring them to surrender immediately unto the Supreme Lord, and out of the causeless mercy of Krishna, they can understand Krishna. No one else can understand him. So even great sage agree what is Atma, what is Supreme, that it is he whom we have to worship.
So what are the points here?
Only the devotees who are fully surrendered to the Supreme Lord can understand it by His grace.
Sorry.
Only the devotees who are fully surrendered to Krishna by His grace can understand His operations.
Yeah.
He is the cause of all causes, and thus he is the cause of demigods and sages as well.
Good point. Any other important points?
The Lord reveals himself to the person who reads his words, Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So otherwise you cannot understand Krishna.
So-called material scholarship leads to the impersonalism and not the actual truth. Simple material understanding or knowledge will not understand Krishna.
Okay. So, it is mentioned, Gurujan Prabhu writes that it is impossible for someone to understand his own source. Our source is Lord Krishna. So it is impossible for anyone to actually understand his own source. So till we actually come to the point of reading Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam, you wouldn't know this answer. So many people speculate. In Hindi also there are many songs like that. Kahan se aaya and all that. Where did I come from? There is a Tamil song also. Enai Padettan, something will be there. Why am I born? Where have I come from? So the poets, the Bollywood and Tollywood poets, they are very nice in asking this question in poetic forms. But unfortunately nobody knows the answer. The answer is there only in Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So therefore, to know our own source, then we have to allude to the scriptures. There is no other way. Otherwise it is impossible for someone to understand his own source. So Lord Krishna is the source of the demigods, as you pointed out rightly. He is the source of the demigods, and demigods are his creations. Demigods are his creations. Now, there is an interesting line here. Maybe it's there in the next verse. So somewhere it is said that the demigods are created. Now on one hand, Lord Krishna says, never was a time when you did not exist, I did not exist. So this is true for the demigods also. So how do you understand that demigods are his creations? Never was a time when you didn't exist, I didn't exist. That is also true. At the same time it is said that demigods were created.
Position of demigods were created.
Very good. So that is our understanding. Demigods' positions were created. Why demigods' positions are created?
To maintain and manage material.
Because the material world is created. Because the material world is created. There is no question of creating the spiritual world, because the spiritual world always exists. Whereas the material world is specifically created, maintained and annihilated. So the demigod word itself, Devata word, comes only in the context of the material world. There is nothing called as Devata in the spiritual world. Devata is a higher level of human being. Another level of human being. Just like cannibals are also there. And then, right from the, what is that called as? Awkward dealings of a cannibal to the highly refined dealings of high society. Then that is still gradation in human life. So if you go up and up, then demigods are much more refined in that sense. Their tastes are refined, their abilities are much more developed like that. It is said that if a Gandharva sings, then we will faint. We cannot even hear a Gandharva sing. Our ears cannot hear. We will faint immediately. That is the beauty of Gandharva singing. Also, if we see the damsels in heavenly planet there, then also we will faint. It is not possible to stand in front of them like that. So, they are higher beings. Now, all these gradations are only in the context of the material world, which is created. Therefore, it is said that the demigods are created. Because the word demigod, the positions are created. And jivas who have that karma go and sit on those chairs. But the definition of a demigod has come about in the context of the material world. Otherwise, there is no question of demigod. There is no devata in spiritual world. So we have to understand like that. If at all the question came to your mind. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur comments, if someone thinks that because the demigods are too attached to sense gratification and therefore cannot understand him, what did I say? If someone says that the demigods are too attached to sense gratification and therefore they cannot understand him, then in this purport it is becoming clear that even by mere detachment one cannot understand him. The great sages who are detached also cannot understand him. The great demigods who are attached to sense gratification, as much as they cannot understand him, it is also possible that the great sages who are detached also cannot understand him. So how can one understand him? By attachment or by detachment?
Mercy of Krishna.
By mercy of the Lord. So one can only understand by hearing from him or from his devotees. Katam prasangat mama viryasam bhavanti hritkarna rasaya tad joshanad asu apavargavatmani raddharati bhakti lokamishya. So only in the association of devotees through the ears, hrit karna, which means through the ears it should enter the heart. हृदय के अंदर जाना चाहिए, कान के द्वारा. हृत कर्ण रसायन कथा, the nectarian pastimes of the Lord should go through the ears. Only then we can understand it. Also, when we do this activity, knowledge and detachment, that detachment will come automatically. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prajna Janayati Asu Vairagyam Jnanam Chayana, which we saw in Mill Park today. You remember that verse? So that detachment will come automatically. So if someone argues about the demigods are too attached to sense gratification and that is why they cannot understand, even the great sages who are detached, they also cannot understand. So simply it's not a question of attachment or attachment, it's a question of devotion, it's a question of hearing. So in the next verse, Lord Krishna explains the result of understanding him properly. So here, in the first verse, what happened? He showed his opulence, so we take him seriously. At the same time, the opulence is simultaneously understandable and not understandable. In the second verse, we saw that to understand it needs his mercy. Neither sense gratification nor detachment can give that understanding. Now, and it is laid down that only by hearing from devotees can we understand it. In the next verse, in verse 3, he explains the result of understanding him properly. So, having heard from the devotees and understood, what is the result that will come? That is explained now in this verse. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless. What is the difference between unborn and beginningless?
Unborn is
goes with the cycle of birth.
And beginningless
Who's always
and unborn?
never born.
Which means beginningless.
no,
No,
unborn
it's
is
always
Swayambhu, right?
existing. The
Which means
existence is
beginningless.
never gone.
Which means beginningless.
They both are same.
Same thing it means.
We'll see.
Lord Brahma was unborn because he came from Founder-Acharya.
One person is reading and coming to the class. Your group is also reading or only you are reading?
Group is okay.
Very good. I'm sure that the other groups are also meeting regularly and everyone is reading and coming prepared for the class. Very good thing to see this. He who knows me as the unborn, as the beginningless, as the supreme Lord of all the worlds, he only, undeluded among men, is freed from all sins. Jignesh Prabhu, you want to read? उधर लाइट हटा क्या? गला खराब है। विक्स की गोली लो। You have give one.
I've got the same problems like you did.
Who doesn't have a throat problem? Please raise your throats. Ganesha, do you read?
Studying in the seventh chapter, Manushanam Sastri Sastri. Those who are trying to elevate themselves to the platform of spiritual realization are not ordinary men. They are superior to millions and millions of ordinary men who have no knowledge of spiritual realization. But out of those actually trying to understand their spiritual situation, one who can come to the understanding that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the proprietor of everything, the unborn, is the most successful spiritually realized person. In that stage only, when one has fully surrendered, one fully understood Krishna's supreme position, can one be free completely from all sinful reaction. Here the Lord is described by the word Aja, means unborn, but he is distinct from the living entities who are described in the second chapter as Aja. The Lord is different from the living entities who are taking birth and dying due to material attachment. The conditioned souls are changing their bodies, but his body is not changeable. Even when he comes to this material world, he comes as the same unborn. Therefore, in the fourth chapter, it is stated that the Lord, by his eternal potency, is not under the inferior material energy, but is always in the superior energy. In this verse, the word Veti Loka Maheshwaram indicates that one should know that the Lord Krishna is the supreme proprietor of the planetary system of the universe. He was existing before the creation, and he is different from his creation. All the demigods were created within this material world, but as far as Krishna is concerned, it is stated that he is not created. Therefore, Krishna is different even from the great demigods like Lord Brahma and Shiva. And because he is the creator of Brahma, Shiva, and all other demigods, he is the supreme person of all planets.
Okay. So what are the points to It's a big purpose, we will break it down.
So Krishna is mentioned as the creator of the creators. He empowers Lord Brahma to create, so he becomes a secondary creator. Whereas Lord Krishna is the creator of Lord Brahma, so he is the supreme creator. So that's why it's called Acharya, unborn.
So, Krishna Chakravarti Thakur, as Madhavan Prabhu, he read the Tanka, so he told it quickly. Krishna Chakravarti Thakur mentions that Lord Brahma is called as, sometimes as Aja, or the unborn. Why Lord Brahma is sometimes called as unborn?
From the context of the name.
He doesn't
Still
know.
he was born.
He's not born in the material.
Why? He is born in the material world.
Not in a normal way.
So,
He appeared in the name. He appeared for the, not maybe on a cause from the Krishna.
yeah, that is also one reason. So he appeared in an unusual way, directly from the Nabi of the Lord. So his appearance is not. But at the end of the day, he is still born in the material world. So he is referred to as Aja or unborn simply because that is from the material perspective. How old are you? So somebody will say 102. 102 people will say like that. If someone says 102 years old, or if you meet someone, how many years? What's your age? I'm just 125. Someone says like that. What will you say? 125? Such a long time, you will say. Correct? Now you can imagine, when was Brahma born? How old are you, Brahma? 3 trillion years. So that is why he is called as unborn. Aja. From that point of view, he is unborn. So from a material point of view. So Lord Brahma can also sometimes be referred to as Aja or unborn, but Lord Brahma is never referred to as Anadi. Anadi Radir Govinda Sarva Karana Karana. So there is a difference between Aja and Anadi. Anadi Galatlendrana. From beginningless. So there is a difference between unborn and beginningless. So unborn he is referred to because of the great passage of time from the material perspective. Whereas beginningless is something different. Beginningless is the person who was there since everything was there. And then Mamaiva Amsha Jiva Loke. So from him all of us have come. So therefore we are his Amsha. So that is the difference. Anything else? Any other points you all want to share?
So basically the word born refers to material aspect.
So the Lord doesn't change his body, he comes in his same spiritual body, he comes down here.
So which verse says that? In Bhagavad Gita 4.9. Janma karma cha me divyam. Evam yo veti tattva mam punardeha. All of you remember this verse. Because there is the key memory verse in your first exam. Okay, that is why. Okay. So the appearance and disappearance and the activities of the Lord, they are all transcendental in nature. They are not of this material world. Now Baldev Vidyabhushan says that only Lord Krishna has all these three characteristics which are mentioned in 10.3. What are the three characteristics? Unborn, beginningless, Supreme Lord. Only Lord Krishna has all these three. Nobody else fits into all these three categories. And then he qualifies that Lord Brahma can be unborn, but Lord Brahma cannot also be called as beginningless or without origin. Nobody can be said to be without origin except Lord Krishna. So this is very nicely explained in the first Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. Anyone knows that? Aham evasam evagre. What is the verse? Nan yad sad asat param. Paschad aham eva etaccha yo vishishyeta so asmi aham. Reference is, anyone has whatever.
2.8.7.
It is I think chapter 9, 2.9.33. If I remember correctly. Just around that. 2.9.33 or something. Just check. It's a good idea to keep that verse in your mind. It is 2.9.33? Okay. So, what is the translation? Can you read?
Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself. Nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead.
Anyone heard? No. Anyone heard? Please repeat what you said. You can say from that.
Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation.
So it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before creation. Okay. Next.
When there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature,
Material nature was also not there when I was there.
the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead. And after annihilation, what remains will also be I. the
After everything is
personality
destroyed, what will the only thing which will remain? I. The Lord God is saying like that. This is called as, this is the Chatushloki of Srimad Bhagavatam. What is Chatushloki? The four most important verses of Srimad Bhagavatam. 33, 34, 35, 36. Huh?
Contradicting to what we heard before, that we were always existing.
So this refers to the material creation.
But again,
He's talking about our so in terms of the spiritual creation, you have always been existing like.
so, but
How do you
even
understand?
prior to the material creation, we also existed. But how come Krishna is stating that it is only I?
Is this not from the material perspective?
Yeah, it is on the material.
How do you understand with the Natvevaha? Never was the time.
In the material perspective, this is mentioned. He is saying that after all, at the end of the day, Krishna is the Anadi. We are also Anadi. But because we have come from Krishna, there is that small gap. Does it make sense?
What about Nitya Siddhas?
Does it make sense?
But we are also eternally here.
Yes, we are also eternally here. Suppose I tell you, I'll give you 1 trillion rupees. 1 rupee काट लेता हूँ उसमें से. You will get 1 rupee less. I will get 1 trillion rupees. What is the difference? I still get more, no? But still there is no difference, no, at the end of the day. 1 trillion rupees, 1 rupee I am taking out of that. I get 1 rupee less, you get 1 trillion rupees. I get 1 trillion rupees minus 1 rupee. That's marginal difference. So Krishna is the Anadi, and then Mamai Vamsha, from him all of us have come. So that is why Lord is saying you are also eternal. In that time scale you see, no? It's eternal. Does not make sense? Krishna expands as Balram. So Balram also, there was a time when Balram did not exist. Will you argue like that?
Energy and energetic.
Yeah, so if all of us were ever existent because Krishna was ever existent. So qualitatively we are one, therefore we are ever existent. But we all have got our free will since we began our existence independent of him. So from that time, we saw ourselves as separate from him. Does it make sense or not? Am I communicating or you lost me?
Makes sense.
But you mentioned we had the free will only when we separated from him.
Correct.
But the free will should be existing always, right?
All the time.
Free will is existing all the
So
time.
when you choose to exercise the free will the wrong way,
I think Prabhu, this verse is more, it's not mainly concentrating on the Natava Egon focus, but it's mainly refuting the Mayavad concept that
Correct.
the Mayavadis who say that because Brahman comes, the incarnations come from Brahman, he's refuting that.
That is a correct understanding.
That I'm there before them, so the Brahman doesn't come in contact. So I think that is what the focus of the
Brahmano Pratishtha hi aham. I am the source of Brahman. Brahman is not my source. So therefore, who is beginningless? Brahman or Krishna? But at the same time, Krishna and Brahman are eternal. But still, who is the cause? That's all he is saying. So we have to understand it like that. So it is conceivable as well as.
The sun in the sun rays problem.
Huh?
Prabhupada talks about the sun in the sun rays example.
Which came first, sun or sun rays?
Because it's almost simultaneous.
Simultaneous. But still, the sun is the cause of its
Sun rays.
rays. So still, there is. That's why I said that 1 trillion minus 1 rupee.
I think that is
Small difference.
That is what actually Radhakrishna was saying, right? Kalambal Prabhu, like energetic and energy basically.
The energy comes from the energetic.
Energetic. So the sun and sunlight. The sun and sunlight should be compared to that.
The sun is.
Energetic.
The sunlight is because of the sun. The existence of the sunlight is based on the existence of the sun. But the sun is completely defined along with its sunlight only.
Can you switch on the light?
Doesn't matter.
16 rays.
And 16 don't. Don't worry too much about it. Okay. So just understand one thing, that what God is trying to say is that everything has come from me. That's all he is saying. You may be my part and parcel, but you are my part and parcel. I am not your part and parcel. That's all. So you have come from me, but therefore I am the original. The concept of you also has come because I decided you. You were always there, but I decided that separation, you and I. When you decided to have a separate existence, and when I decided to give you to give my own part and parcel a separate existence in the spiritual world for the purpose of Leela. Does it make sense? It's something like that.
So there was a time when Krishna was without any Leela. I mean, because otherwise how he would have, there must have been a time.
That wonderful.
It's inaccessible.
No, it's very difficult
Yes,
to...
that's the time of complete annihilation. When
but it doesn't affect the spiritual world.
yeah,
It's
Lord
never
Krishna
annihilated.
as a baby sleeping on the Vatapatra's side. So that's when he is alone, all alone.
Prabhupada says that Krishna is never alone.
Simply
He's
not
talking about the
understanding.
spiritual world.
So, I mean, there must have been a reason. You're saying that as a reason, so that he didn't want to be alone. So there was at least a fraction of instance or whatever that he felt that loneliness.
Absolutely right. When you were talking about Brahma's age and when it's compared to our age, it's so significantly high, I mean so huge. So we say that he is Ajaha, right? So probably when you compare the life of our eternity with Krishna's, that could be considered as
given as a reason.
Both of you can take PhD topic. Research on this.
I'll
See you later in the spiritual world.
Maybe I'm just wondering, maybe when we go to spiritual world, there must be more knowledge available. Because we can't, we're not able to understand it because we have this material body and material senses. We can't decipher it.
Correct.
Maybe we go there, there is a... The same
Don't worry
thing
too
makes
much about
sense
it.
differently.
So, in Damodar Lila, Original Prabhu mentions a nice point. He says, in Damodar Lila, the rope of the Lord is always 2 inches short. Okay. She keeps on tying, but it is always 2 inches short. But on the other hand, you see that when the Lord was standing like that, small boy, then small baby, so inconceivably his waist already had a black thread and a bell. It's called Aranakaya, like that. It already had a black thread and a bell. Whereas, so he could be tied, but at the same time he could not be tied also. When Yashoda was trying. So therefore it is mentioned that it was only possible to tie that black thread with the bell because Yashoda mother wanted to attract good fortune for her son. So when she tried to, in her Vatsalya Ras, when she did that, then he was able to be tied. But for chastising him when he tried to tie him, then she was not able to. For trying to forcefully restrict him, confine him to one place, when she tried to tie, she could not tie. So it's I thought it's a nice example.
But it just says it is his will. If he allows, then it is fine.
Correct.
If he doesn't allow, you cannot do it.
Correct.
So probably he wanted, maybe that is also a rasa, right? He wanted to probably experience loneliness, only then you can appreciate exchange. Otherwise, how can you appreciate if it has always been there? Never know.
We're talking about Damodar Ashtakam, I think it is starting on Saturday.
Yeah. Damodar Ashtakam starting on Saturday. So, the Lord was equally inconceivable. The Lord is equally inconceivable when we try to understand how He being the Loka Maheshwara, He being the controller of all the universes and planets, He still allowed Arjuna to control him as the charioteer. So that is also inconceivable. The essence of this whole purport, because it's too huge, you can read the rest offline. The essence of this whole purport is that understanding Lord Krishna's inconceivable nature with faith. Why do we require faith?
Because we cannot conceive.
Because it is inconceivable. If everything were conceivable, faith ka kahan se sawal hota hai. Some people say that I don't have faith. Now how do I understand that Lord Krishna lifted Govardhan hill? I will not have. How can I have faith like that? Because it is inconceivable, only the faith comes. Suppose you say, oh, Lord Krishna employed, what is that, movers and shakers or whatever, and then he, used the forklift to lift the, Govardhan hill. Then everybody will believe, yeah, possible. Then there is nothing, there is no faith required for that. Correct? So faith comes when reason and logic stop. And the Lord says here that understanding Lord Krishna's inconceivable nature with faith frees us from sin and awards liberation. So there is no substitute for faith. Therefore, Shraddha, Sadhu Sangha, Bhajana Kriya, Nartha Nivritti, all those things. But first is faith. Without faith, not possible. And how does that faith develop? Associating with people who have that faith. Otherwise, he is inconceivable. So again, that now you are able to see the link between the three verses. So that's how he is bringing around that logic. Intelligence, knowledge, freedom from doubt and delusion, forgiveness, truthfulness, control of the senses, control of the mind, happiness and distress. birth, death, fear, fearlessness, non-violence, equanimity, satisfaction, austerity, charity, fame and infamy. All these various qualities of living beings are created by me alone. It's a huge purport. So let's read paragraph by paragraph. What's it? Shashi Prabhu, you want to read?
Different qualities of living entities, be they good or bad, are all created by Krishna, and they are described here. Intelligence refers to the power to analyze things in their proper perspective, and the knowledge refers to understanding what is spirit and what is matter. Ordinary knowledge obtained by a university education pertains only to matter, and it is not accepted here as knowledge. Knowledge means knowing the distinction between spirit and matter. In modern education, there is no knowledge about spirit. They are simply taking care of the material elements and bodily needs. Therefore, academic knowledge is not complete. Asamoha, freedom from doubt and illusion, can be achieved when one is not hesitant and when he understands the transcendental philosophy. Slowly but surely, he becomes free from bewilderment. Nothing should be accepted blindly. Everything should be accepted with care and with caution. Thus, Shama, tolerance and forgiveness should be practiced. One should be tolerant and excuse the minor offenses of others. Satyam, truthfulness, means that facts should be presented as they are for the benefit of others. Facts should not be misrepresented. According to social conventions, it is said that one can speak the truth only when it is palatable to others. But that is not truthfulness. The truth should be spoken in a straightforward way so that others will understand actually what the facts are. If a man is a thief and if people are warned that he is a thief, that is truth. Although sometimes the truth is unpalatable, one should not refrain from speaking it. Truthfulness demands that the facts be presented as they are for the benefit of others. That is definition of truth.
Okay. So what are the points about it?
Straight away defining what the actual knowledge is, the discrimination of matter and spirit. What is the actual knowledge means, and the discrimination between the spirit and the matter. That's the first point we could understand.
I asked a question few years back to Devamrit Maharaj that why all these demons have been created, or why all these bad things are existing at all. If Krishna is there, then only good things should have been there. Then I was explaining this, that because Krishna is complete, that's why the bad things are also there. Because if bad things are not there, that means Krishna is not complete. So that's why this first line is given that all the qualities are there, good or bad.
Just wondering if there was a loophole in the requirements we set down for Krishna to create the material. Maybe we didn't say we don't want demons. So he just introduced it was created by how we do.
Like requirements gap.
I think so. He just really smartly utilized that.
We became demons when we requested him to create a material.
First of all, yeah, no, it's a very good
No need to ask for anything else. As soon as we said we wanted to live separately from Krishna, that is the demoniac.
Yeah. And he knew that because he is Trikala Jnani, he knew what we will want.
They are there for our good only, because let's say for 1 second, if we are good, if the demons were not there, then we'll start enjoying this material. For 1 second.
Actually, this point was made by Bhaktivedanta Maharaj in his lecture, that demons are created so that demigod's pride can be in check. Otherwise,
there is no incentive to leave that place.
Demons, they say, are also created to show the world that there is always the power of good over evil. So every time, that was the main lesson we taught for.
Anything else?
Does the bad thing exist in spiritual world also?
Does what?
Bad things exist in spiritual world?
There is no place for
Spiritual world, there is no duality. Good, bad,
No.
beautiful, ugly, they are all dualities. Dualities are only there in the material world. There is no duality in spiritual world. There is variety, variegatedness, but no duality.
So should we, Prabhupada here clearly says that the truthfulness, be bold and straight, open the point, right? When he's discussing about the truthfulness, because we also say in our practical life that we do life for a practical reason, for a good cause. So is that wrong from when we understand the statement which Prabhupada...
What is the question?
The question is this: we do lie in practical life for a good cause. Is it right or
Are you
wrong?
sure for a good cause?
Yes, assuming that it's going to be a good cause.
That itself is a cause.
No, let's
Personality.
no, that's for a good cause.
Qualify the good cause.
So
Who decides whether the cause is good or bad?
serving for Krishna is a good cause. Already.
Okay.
Okay. So when we do a lie, when we say a lie for this,
Actually, serving for Krishna is not a good cause. Serving
That
for
is the
Krishna is
only
beyond
cause.
good and bad.
okay, that's the only
Transcendental
cause.
cause.
That's the only cause.
Yeah.
So let's not. I'm not so philosophical. my question here is when we speak about when we understand the definition of truth here, which Prabhupada is explaining. So it's kind of refuting of what we generally do, and we console ourselves. So that's fine. We lie for a good cause is okay. But what Prabhupada is saying, be it right or wrong, tell the truth.
Yeah, so you answered it actually. You answered it correctly when you said that when you say anything for the pleasure of Krishna, in the absolute world, it is truth. It is truth. Not good cause, it is truth. When you, what is the verse? Purvan eveha karmani jije vishaya chatam samaha evam toyi nanya tetosti na karma lipyate nare. Isopanisad mantra 3. Mantra 1 is what? Om Purnamadam. Second is Ishavashamidam Sarvam. I think this is the third one. So you can go on acting like that for millions of years and karma will not touch you. So anything for the pleasure of Krishna is the absolute truth. Okay. Even a lie is an absolute truth. For example, you can see now, sunset is happening for a moment, then Lord Krishna takes the sun up and again he takes the sunset or something like that.
Correct.
No, sorry. For a moment he takes the sun down, again brings it up and then kills. So what is this logic? Is it truth? Is it not truth? Is it fair? Not fair? Everything is fair.
Whatever Krishna does, that's a different story.
No, for whatever devotees also do for Krishna's pleasure, same thing. It is a truth. Even a lie spoken for Krishna's pleasure is actually in the absolute realm, it is a truth.
Okay.
And a truth which does not fit in, which takes a devotee, for example, a truth which does not take a devotee closer to Krishna is as good as a lie. Like that. So again, I'm just putting it in a different way, what you said. So to bring someone closer to the Lord, genuine intent, then if we are to tell something, then fine.
Gauranga Prabhu was giving one example which comes to mind. He said, when some devotees were trying to bring some others to the temple, and then those potential candidates, they say, no, they can't because at that time, that movie Bhagat Singh had come. So they said they wanted to, do you remember this one?
Same.
You know, little if you like. Then they said, that they can't come to the temple because they have to go and see that movie Bhagat Singh. So the devotee said, don't worry, we'll also show you Bhagat Singh in the temple. And the guy was confused, how ISKCON doesn't show movies now. So anyway, they came. And then the devotee said, long story short, here are the Bhagats, the devotees, and they are singing. So that lie, for Krishna's pleasure, lie.
Kripasundar Prabhu was expert in this. He will tell anything to catch someone in the courtyard and take him to the Bhaktivedanta. I told you now once he told. I didn't tell this. Once he brought someone to Bhaktivedanta. I think somewhere I was lecturing in Bhaktivedanta or somewhere in Beaconsfield Parade. He brought someone. He told, I said, how did you come here? He said, that person, there, Ranga. He told me that Infosys director is. And I didn't really gave person the proof after that. I said, why do you do this to me? Don't do this. Very embarrassing. But he will say anything to bring one person there. So you are director. He also saying, oh okay, let me go there. But once satsangam also, then once you even chant Hare Krishna, then at least human life is guaranteed. So he has saved that person in one sense. But then there is a lie. But then this lie is very pleasing. It's very pleasing to the Lord.
Come and ask for a job.
No, sometimes we also exaggerate our sins. Sometimes we have to make a profile so that people connect to us very quickly. We have to make the profile with them. The profile match ho gaya, connection fit ho gaya, then slowly bring them. We have to do all kinds of things. Okay. But the goal is what always? To somehow bring that person into the inner circle. Like that.
Well, you mentioned there is no duality in the spiritual world, but there is variety. So how do you appreciate variety where there is no duality?
Mango and apple are variety.
Yes.
Not duality in one sense.
Okay.
Rotten mango and fresh mango are dualities. So there are no rotten mangoes in the spiritual world.
But
like that I'm saying. It's an example.
Given that it's an absolute world, if I was eating mangoes, if I was completely happy, why would I want to eat an apple? Why do I need variety?
It's there.
So there is.
It's there whether we want
Variety is the spice of life.
But that is material world, right? Because we are seeking to design in such a way that
there is variegatedness. There is unlimited varieties there. Kalpa vriksha. There is no limit.
So that, but why does it need, for example, in the material world, you can't, if for example, if your favorite fruit was mango, you keep eating mango, at some point in time you get sick of it and you want to try another fruit or something. But because this is the material world, right, so there is variety so that it is designed in such a way that we get tired of things because we can't enjoy them forever. But in the spiritual world, if it is a reflection or opposite of what is here, you should be able to enjoy the same thing forever. So
Lord should already cure mango in the spiritual
world. I don't know. He is there. That is a different story. But then, I don't know.
Should we see like this, Prabhuji, like the raga and bhakti, the bhava will be of different nature. That kind of variety is available.
I don't know. Now we are speculating. It became like a savannah.
If there are only mangoes, Prabhu.
Why is the need for variety in the spiritual?
Sorry, too many people. 1 minute. Okay, what
if there are only mangoes, then the Lord's opulence will be limited to mangoes now. There's unlimited.
God is unlimited, He wants unlimited variety.
I think it's not the problem in the spiritual world, it's just our desire.
Which one?
There is opulence that He can provide for everything. It is just that it depends on what we desire. So He gives us that.
The material world is said to be a perverted reflection of the spiritual world. But the word perverted is used. But at the same time, reflection is also used. Which means whatever is here is there. But it is still a perverted reflection. So if there is variety here, there is variety there also. Banyan tree example. We will come to that.
But there is duality here, there is no duality there. The reflection, it is perverted. It's perverted, that's why it's perverted.
That's why it's perverted. That's why it's perverted. Okay. There will be. So truthfulness we talked about. And control of the senses. Who wants to read?
Control of the senses means that the senses should not be used for unnecessary personal enjoyment. There is no prohibition against meeting the proper needs of the senses, but unnecessary sense enjoyment is detrimental for spiritual advancement. Therefore, the senses should be restrained from unnecessary use. Similarly, one should restrain the mind from unnecessary thoughts. That is called sama.
One should not spend one's time pondering over earning money. That is a misuse of the thinking power. The mind should be used to understand the prime necessity of things, and that should be presented authoritatively. The power of thought should be developed in association with persons who are authorities in the scriptures, saintly persons and spiritual masters, and those whose thinking is highly developed. Sukham is pleasure or happiness should always be in that which is favorable for the cultivation of the spiritual knowledge of Krishna consciousness. And similarly, that which is painful or which causes distress is that which is unfavorable for the cultivation of Krishna consciousness. Anything favorable for the development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything unfavorable should be rejected. Bhava, birth, should be understood to refer to the body. As far as the soul is concerned, there is neither birth nor death. That we have discussed in the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita. Birth and death apply to one's embodiment in the material world. Fear is due to worrying about the future. A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because by his activities he is sure to go back to the spiritual sky, back home, back to Godhead. Therefore, his future is very bright. Others, however, do not know what their future holds. They have no knowledge of what the next life holds, so they are therefore in constant anxiety. If we want to get free from anxiety, and then the best course is to understand Krishna and be situated always in Krishna consciousness. In that way, we will be free from all fear. In Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.37, it is stated that fear is caused by our absorption in the illusory energy. But those who are free from the illusory energy, those who are confident that they are not the material body, that they are the spiritual parts of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and who are therefore engaged in the transcendental service of the Supreme Godhead, have nothing to fear. Their future is very bright. This fear is a condition of persons who are not in Krishna consciousness. Abhayam, fearlessness, is possibly only for one in Krishna consciousness.
Nice purport. We can just implement this at least 1%.
A person in Krishna consciousness has no fear because his activities he shows to go back to Godhead. Basically, most of the time, all the people are living under some sort of fear, either financial, physical, mental. Some sort of fear is always trying to avoid those fears, and that's where the most of the life is going to get the financial insurance or whatever sort of insurances to get rid of fear. And here the formula is given that the best way to get rid of fear is to surrender to Krishna.
Anything else?
We should always accept the things which is favorable for Krishna service, and we should reject the things which are unfavorable to Krishna service.
So how does it fit in?
It says here, anything favorable for development of Krishna consciousness should be accepted, and anything favorable should be rejected. Unfavorable thing should be rejected.
Yeah. How is it connected? You said.
Control of the senses. Control of the senses. For control of the senses.
Yeah. So, yeah. Fearfulness comes only because we are disconnected from Krishna. For example, we are worried that the prices of food grains and fruits will go up and we may not be able to afford that which we are able to afford today. That's because we believe that the way to be able to afford food grains and fruits is to go to office, earn enough money to be able to buy those from Coles or Safeway. Because there are a lot of layers between Mother Nature and us who are giving us that product, and the process we are using to get that product is also a different process. Correct? But it's as simple as that. You go, you have a land, you till the land, there is enough of land, till the land, sow, do agriculture, and then Your dependence is directly now on Krishna. Like that. So the fearfulness has come down by leaps and bounds. In that case, correct? If we have everything, if we have a nice field where rice, paddy, everything is grown, and fruits and vegetables are available, then there is nothing else that one needs. Actually, there is nothing else we need except food. What else do we need? All others are Samsung. What is the latest model? S4. Do we need it in our life? Did man survive before Samsung S4? Yes, we survived before that. Did man survive before? Where are all our expenses? If you see, list down all the expenses, you will see that food and clothing, it ends there. After that, all our overheads, internet, private health insurance,
gadgets,
utility bill,
mortgage, home insurance.
Home insurance. What else is there? Nothing is required. Actually, if you see, nothing is required. Nothing is all self-made.
But all people cannot be engaged in just cultivating land, because then everybody has to be busy. Everybody has to be doing something. Idle brainless.
So all people cannot be engaged in cultivation of land. Therefore, Varnashrama Dharma says that Vaishyas have to be engaged in cultivation of land. Okay, Vaishyas will buy the land, will own the land, and will be the bosses of that land. The Shudras will work there. Correct? The Kshatriyas will protect, give them protection, so nobody is able to take away that land. So that fear is gone, no? And the Kshatriyas will be advised by Brahmanas from the scriptures. So the Brahmanas will not exploit the Kshatriyas. The Kshatriyas will not exploit the Vaishyas. Vaishyas will not exploit the Shudras. Shudras will never feel that, there will be right sizing which is coming, down sizing exercise is coming now. Because of whatever, economy is down, recession, these things are never heard of. Like that. There was only one, sometimes drought used to happen. Correct? But there was never like this recession. It's amazing, you see it. On one hand we say that there is a global recession, on the other hand the prices are going up. Everybody is bidding more and more for houses and they are becoming more and more dearer to buy a house. And when you ask people salaries are not going up of people, prices are going up. Number of people buying houses are going up in the market. Everybody is outbidding the other. But number of people who are jobless are also increasing. So it's just difficult to understand all these things. Something is very artificial about this whole thing.
So the design is that there will be majority of Shudras because they will be engaged. Because controlling, you don't need management. If you see in a company, we don't need so many managers. We need more workers. So by default, the design is that you will have more working class, less managerial class, and then the advisory or whatever is and protections. But Varnashrama Dharma is also, Varnashrama structure is also designed such a way that you need more people at the Shudra level.
Nowhere it is mentioned that, it's not mentioned anywhere you need more Shudras.
But
it's not mentioned
by default, by default. Because
by default, based on
how many people, if everybody starts owning.
So whatever we say will be on Guru, Sadhu and Shastra only. I have not heard that. It may or may not be true, but I have not read it in the Shastra. Therefore I cannot say that it is mentioned that there are more Shudras at all.
But it was meant to raise the person from Shudra
However,
to Brahmana.
Correct. In one sense, we can fathom that because not everybody can be a Brahmana. In one sense, so Kalau Shudra Sambhava, that itself says that the majority are going to be Shudras. So we can decipher that from putting 1 plus 1, then we can say like that. But explicitly it's not mentioned anything. But you may not be far away from the truth when you make that statement. The essential point is our dependence is less on Krishna. We cannot see the hand of Krishna in our day-to-day life because we are so far disconnected from Mother Nature. So whereas the more connected we are with nature, the more our dependence on Krishna goes up, then we will become lesser and lesser fearful. Closer and closer, then lesser and lesser fearful. The only thing that you will worry about is rains. That's all. You will not worry about whether coals will increase the price or not. Your worry will be, will there be rain or not? And for that also there are yagyas which you can control. Coals will not do that yagya. Coal will simply raise the price. Correct, or say that we are not supplying this fruit anymore. Stock has not arrived. Like, so we are far, far cut off from natural living. Far, far cut off. There is no, we have completely lost that connection. We are living artificial lives. Even scriptures, they used to be heard and retained. Later they used to be put on leaves and they used to be manually copied. Now we are saying, my hearing is not good because my MP3 player is not working. So that is again that dependency is there. Our devotional life is also dependent on MP3 player. Working or not working. Actually I am talking for myself. So we are very cut off from that. So the more and more we are cut off from Krishna, then lesser and lesser we perceive the dependence on Krishna. Hoptritve varanam tatha. And rakshishiti sa vishwasa. So therefore that surrender doesn't come.
And it's not that easy to get that faith.
It is not easy to
Get that faith.
get that faith, correct. Yeah. So Govind Prabhu also mentioned that. He mentioned that the source of our income is not the source of our maintenance. We think that we are being maintained by our jobs. But if we actually look back, in one sense, everything is ordained for us. We will get whatever is ordained for us. Like that. It's not that if we do 3 jobs then we become wealthier. If you are not destined to get something, you will do 3 jobs. Yes, you will get more income, but then some ailment will come and then the wealth will go away in some other way. So net you are zero-sum game. Like that. So we don't see the Lord's hand. That's why the fearfulness is there. But when we see the Lord's hand in everything that happens in our life, then Abhay-charan. Srila Prabhupada was called as Abhay-charan because he was always very connected to the Lord. Whatever happened, he saw the Lord's hand. Even in the Jaladutta, that's why Prabhupada writes, oh, my dear Lord, I don't know why you have put me in this car. No? You are sending me on this journey, 3 heart attacks. And then when he came to US, he didn't know what to do. He said, I don't know why you have brought me to this Malacha land. No? But something you had in mind, now you may do with me as you please. The moment you say like that, then all fear goes out. Srila Prabhupada was not worried whether the Westerners will accept Krishna consciousness, not accept. He was not worried. He just went and sat under a tree and started the whole movement. Fearless is because dependence on Krishna. His only goal was to obey the instructions of his spiritual master, which is coming from Krishna. So that is the source of fearlessness. So we'll continue this verse because it's an interesting purport.